Welcome to the UnderDog Report. The UnderDog Report. We're on the air. We're on the air to about 10 million people. And I have my guest, which is Mark Harris. So, Mark, sorry for the difficulty. We're going to get into it. I'll give you your time. You are the author of the book, Houses of the Holies, Houses of the Holy. As you can see it on the screen, I'm sharing it here, talking about your decorated Air Force pilot. And you talk about corruption, and cover-ups having to do with actually your children and also years of personal survival and investigation. And you wrote a book about it. So please, Mark, tell us about House of Holies, which is available on the printer is Trinde, Trine Day. You can purchase this there. It's also available on Amazon. What's the book about, Mark?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. TrineDay.com or Amazon. Just search for Houses of the Holy by Mark Harris. You'll find it. In just a simple effort to protect my children from a federal convict and serial sexual predator, I had my life completely dismantled, ripped to shreds. Faced 8 plots to frame me. Was labeled delusional, psychotic. Accused of domestic violence, accused of being a pedophile, and accused of all sorts of things by people who are actually engaged in those very activities. I've discovered 15 agencies, local, state, and federal, that have falsified reports in this case. It escalated to the Attorney General level. In 2013, I was ganged up on in court by a lynch mob of government lawyers, including Sally Quillian Yates, Stuart F. Dellery. Sally Quillian Yates went on to become the acting Attorney General. Dellery was Joe Biden's chief White House counsel. 4 other lawyers, 7 private law firms, put out of work, blocked from getting unemployment benefits, blacklisted in the entire state where I live, and subjected to a terroristic threat to burn my house down if I didn't drop the case.
Wow.
A lot of stuff in between happened, but we're blocked from getting unemployment benefits, blacklisted in the entire state where I live, and subjected to a terroristic threat to burn my house down if I didn't drop the case.
Wow.
A lot of stuff in between happened, but I've been subjected to death threats and so forth. But I noticed you have later, I think today, somebody talking about sex magic. My kids were victims of a Knight Templar Masonic cult. Okay, I have massive evidence to prove that. I'm talking about a house built by a Freemason Knight Templar leader, numbered 1118 for the year the Knights Templar were founded. Built for a man who entered into corporations with fellow church leaders, hiding behind religion, secretly worshiping Satan and Baphomet. With 45.
I'm a Christian. I don't have any problem mentioning these religions or these people that are evil. I don't know if you can mention them, but
sure, it's the Church of Christ. They're hiding in the Church of Christ. These particular people were.
Right.
They created 45 corporations with occult names like Alchemy, Androgynous, which is Baphomet, the half man, half woman, Tabula Rasa, Panoply, Augury, Prescient, Seeing the Future, all this Aleister Crowley crap, okay? The primary perpetrator was my ex-father-in-law. His brother is a practicing witch. He's all over the internet, has 76 books on his reading list on the internet featuring people like Anton LaVey of the Church of Satan, and of course Aleister Crowley and others. And the level, what I uncovered were members of the military, members of law enforcement, members of religious leaders involved in this garbage. And the level of corruption I encountered just trying to expose it was unbelievable. Just in trying to get my book out, I went through 4 ghostwriters. 3 days after a Freemason Shriner in Georgia hacked our conversations on my computer, she emailed me, said her brakes went out, she suffered a concussion, her computer was destroyed, and that was the last I heard from her. I never heard from her again. Fast forward to my 3rd ghostwriter. He ended up dead in a suspicious accident that I don't believe was an accident. He was killed. His accident was on the winter equinox. I got placed under false arrest on March 18th, the anniversary of the execution of Jacques de Molay. I had my career sabotaged as an airline pilot in a scheme involving the FAA's top doctor, whose father selected the Freemasons that went to the moon. The son of the man who chose the NASA astronauts, who were all Freemasons, via a fake DUI planted in my records, a fake medical history planted in my records, and I was issued a fake medical certificate on October 13th, the anniversary of the year of the order to round up the Knights Templar. So everywhere you turn in this, and I've been put under surveillance, and all these shady characters enter my life using these psyops tactics. Very highly skilled. They approach you, they befriend you, they flatter you, they give you gifts, they show an unusual interest in your cause, they probe you for information, then start trying to steer you away, warning you your life is in danger, so forth. When you're getting too close, they orchestrate a distraction, some accusation against your kids or you or whatever. And one person after another, all with similar backgrounds, engaging in these activities. Two of them gave me cell phones, cell phones that went haywire. So obviously they were tracking me electronically. You don't have this many agencies lying. You don't have, when I say I was ganged up on this lynch mob of lawyers in court, I was representing myself in poverty. The case got transferred to a Freemason judge who shut me down. And I've been in about 20 court cases. Every one of those cases, the case was transferred, sometimes twice. And the common link from start to beginning, there are common links. There's military, law enforcement, and Freemasons. One of the men who targeted me at my workplace was the former human resources manager of my airline. He's serving 20 years in prison now for raping and torturing and exploiting foster children and child pornography.
Oh my God.
He's the son of a police chief from Maine who was a big shot in the Freemasons and Shriners. A woman in Oklahoma City from a family of the Order of the Eastern Star and Freemasonry planted a fake DUI in my records, and on and on and on. And I've got documentation of all this.
Wow. So the book is about that. What should people be doing? I mean, what are you recommending people do?
Expose it. I used to be more religious than I am, but one phone call I made to one person who was engaged in a cover up, a pastor in Florida, Ephesians.
I'm in Florida.
Okay, Ephesians 5:11. Don't talk about these things in secret, but expose them. Churches need to root these people out. People need to expose this. You get labeled crazy, a conspiracy theorist, and so forth. It doesn't matter how many facts. I've got thousands of pages of records documenting crimes committed by state officials, local officials, federal officials in this case, serious crimes. But you can't break through to the mainstream press because they write you off as crazy and Freemasons are just harmless and it's just a social club and so forth. But these deep South, Albert Pike, Knight Templar Freemasons are true believers in all this garbage.
Thank you, Mark. That's scary, and it's personal to you because it's yourself and your family. We actually got some extra time, although we had some difficulties in the beginning, but the other person is late joining us. So we have some extra time and talk about houses of the holy. And it's just about exposing it. I'm sorry that you're not as, quote unquote, you use the word religious, but I use the word Christian. Because, when these Christian people hurt others, unfortunately, God is the one who suffers. People blame God because the organizations are not doing God's word. And I think that's a shame. I think there's a special place in hell for people that are doing things like this. It's kind of shocking to me that organized religions are actually involved in pedophile rings and abusing children and mind ops, all this crazy stuff.
And I think a lot of people are just hiding there. That's a safe place for them to hide. It gives them cover. So.
Yeah. So, hey, if you're going to church, just pretend like you're in a bar because there's nobody different. So, when did the book come out, Mark?
Well, the last we've updated it a couple times. My publisher will probably hate it when I say this. I'd like one more revision because I've learned quite a bit more since our last revision. It's been out a couple of years now, the latest revision. Still trying to get publicity. Not for me. I'm a private person. I don't like publicity. I'm never going to make any money off this book. I've invested a lot in it. I just want justice, not just for my kids. I uncovered a network of these people, and one of the groups they're preying on is foster children, and
Yeah, we've heard that before.
And I've got statements from state officials in Florida denying that foster kids ever existed in a home, and I've got records proving they did. And a related account in Walton County, Florida, same network of people where neighbors said that there was a human trafficking, child pornography operation going on there. With foster kids, the whole family disappeared in the middle of the night. This is back in 2001, and were never seen again. The foster father, he was a Frenchman. He was from France. I tracked him down back to Marseille, France, but who were they in business partners with? A Pentagon official who was a follower of Aleister Crowley, a Church of Christ minister. It was the same combination I found everywhere. Religious leaders, military leaders, law enforcement officers, secretly involved in this insanity, what I call, superstitious, deep South hocus pocus.
What do you think within the present administration things are getting better, or is it just continuing on?
Well, I've become very, very cynical and pessimistic, I guess, given my experience with the Uniparty. I was shut down by the Republican establishment in Florida, and then I was targeted, retaliated against, and shut down by the entire weight of the Obama administration, the liberal Democrats. So I got no help anywhere. So my only experience with this administration, I did do a FOIA request for some records that incriminated Eric Holder and other people in the Justice Department in this case. The response I got was basically, they gave me the middle finger and said, we don't have any of those records, and we're not going to provide them. Just classic stonewalling from the government. I've seen so many stories on Netflix, documentaries and 60 Minutes and all, these shows that are not nearly as powerful a case as I have here. And I really,
Well, I just we have a next guest who come on. Thank you so much. We were able to give you some extra time. That was great. Houses of the Holy. Look it up. It's available. It's really eye-opening, and he has some very personal experience with his family and other children. So thank you very much for joining us. And Mark, God bless you.
Thank you for having me in.
Thank you. And now we have our next guest, and now is a doctor. Hello, Dr. Juliette. Dr. Juliette, are you there? Please unmute.
Yes, I'm unmuted. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you for joining. Sex trafficking, and we were just talking about that. It's interesting. And let's take a look at your book. There we go.
There we are. There's
and more than one guest today. So, hey, you were trafficked yourself, if I'm correct in saying that.
Yes, I was.
Very sorry about that. And then you wrote this book about and the guest I had previously would like to talk to you. Because those children were part of the mind control. So you were part of the what do they call it? The
Mo-
MK,
Yes, MK Ultra Monarch program.
right? Which is a program brainwashing children, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
What I hate to ask this question, but you've lived some horrible things.
Yes, I certainly have. And
But
I should say I'm 77 years old, so I lived through them.
yes, not only did you live through them, but you lived through them and you got your MD degree.
Yes. And
Right.
I ran an underground railroad in Russia for many years, rescuing children.
Wow. Wow. So tell me, is this going on still in America?
Absolutely. And it's getting worse. And the reason I was thinking, I know we talked earlier a bit, but I was trafficked when I was 6 years old. I was sold by my father into the MK Ultra cult, which was formed as part of the intelligence apparatus of CIA, NSA, which basically involved my entire family. And so I was raised in a child trafficking sex abuse cult for
Oh,
11
God.
years.
11 years.
11 years. I escaped when I was 17, stole a car with my handler in it, passed out from drugs, and drove barefoot to Seattle, where I'd gotten myself into the University of Washington, and then led a new life. But you never escape it. It's always in you. You are programmed for life. And I see the results of this affecting more and more people. And we don't have time to go into it in depth, but Sparky, the book I wrote, Sparky Surviving Sex Magic, is my survivor's story. So I took 1 year when I was 10 years old, which had a lot of significance in that I was realizing what was happening to me. I knew what would happen if I stayed in this cult, that I would basically become a honeypot prostitute for the government. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be any part of it. But how I escaped, how I survived, how I lived through the satanic rituals and the abuse and the horrible survivor's guilt. I mean, I was one of they called us the goats and the sheep. I was one of the goats because my family were top level government officials, and my uncle was one of the founders of the NSA. So I was slated to be used at a very, very high level. And I was forced to attend human sacrifices.
Oh my
Um,
God.
oh, yeah.
What age, doctor?
Well, the book, it's hard for me to remember year by year, but I went through the extreme process of remembering 1959 to 1960. So I was 10 years old when I was used in a Saturnalia, and the child to the left of me and the child to the right of me were sacrificed. I was not. I was hurt. I was sexually abused, humiliated. I was drugged, so I couldn't move. Um, but I wasn't killed, and that survivor's guilt was one of the ways they manipulated me and still manipulate me. So because I still I wonder why I have a right to live when these other children died. Um, so, but Sparky is my publishers describe it as more of a thriller than a memoir, because it was a thrilling time and I was surrounded by crime. I was surrounded by abuse, but Sparky was a warrior. And basically I invented a warrior character for myself, then became that person. And that's the person that went to Russia, that helped reform child care in the former Soviet Union, that ran an underground railroad, that rescued thousands of people. And
God bless you for that, because you turned something horrible into something good.
I did, and so that's why people should read Sparky, because uh, it was sort of the worst possible beginnings of a life, but how I was able to fight through it by creating a life of my own and then living that life. And of course, it is important, particularly right now when the trafficking situation in the U.S. has gotten so bad, and it's very hard to get people to even realize how bad it is.
Your book is Marky Surviving Sex Magic. It's available on Trine Publishing, Trine Day Publishing. Here's the link. Go buy it. It's very important to understand it. Now, you're saying it's getting worse. Is that because of the open borders, or is it just becoming more accepted within the country?
It's becoming more accepted in the country, and a lot of the reason for that is the cult mind control that started in the 1950s. By the 1970s, there were hundreds of thousands of people who'd had their brains basically reprogrammed to accept all kinds of abuse. And by now, there's millions of people that have been through some form of mind control, so that we don't even see the trafficking that's going on, and the child abuse, and the stealing of our land, stealing of our rights, stealing of our identity. It seems natural to us because we've been programmed for that. So everybody needs to go through their own process of establishing, who am I? What is this country? What do we want this country to be? We will survive by being a united civilizational state, but not a civilizational state that accepts child sacrifice and child murder and child trafficking. That's a no-go.
And so with the open borders, is that one reason it's worse also?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the United Nations takes advantage of that. The International Organization of Migration is the migration arm of the United Nations. And if you look at their website, in the last 2 years, they're bragging. They moved 270 million migrants around the world, into Europe, into the U.S. They have multiple offices in Mexico and in Central America, where they move refugees and children through. Any war zone in the world, like Ukraine right now, and the areas in the Middle East that are being attacked, the children are taken. If the men are removed, the family is not protected, the children are taken, and they are trafficked across the borders. And I've seen recent documents in the CIA archives that said that they decided in the 60s to call all these children trafficked across the borders Mexicans, because Americans are programmed to think, oh, it's just Mexicans. Well, that's not all right. And they're not just Mexicans. They're Ukrainians, Poles, Palestinians, anywhere children can be taken, and they're brought into this country. And then they're used for all kinds of nefarious purposes, including massive satanic rituals. And that's a longer discussion, but there's no doubt about that.
Well, I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ will provide the answers because he is more powerful than the devil. But people need to use the power that they have in order to combat this. And I'm very sorry that you went through this, but I'm blessed that you came through it successfully. Sexually abused, 10 years old, attending horrible satanic rituals where actually people are killed next to you, and you're saying it's getting worse because it's becoming more accepted. How can we stop it?
We need to wake up. Start by reading my book. Start understanding what these children are going through, what's happening. The CIA has recently released 2 archives full of documents on their role in creating this abusive program, and how many people were taken, how they used hospitals and retreat centers and churches all over the United States to set up programs of brain control, how they got into the public schools as the GATE program, GATE, Gifted and Talented Education or Enrichment. That's an extension of the MK Ultra program, where every session the children drink drugs. Why?
Oh,
why? And the parents have no right to know what's in those drugs. And so there's so many places in this country that if you really look at it, you see how wrong it is. And we need to straighten it out. before the Lord decides to wipe us out in a flood, because it's just too bad.
Well, thank you very much. My next guest is joining, Mary Blanding. So I want to thank you for your time. Please, everybody, go and purchase this book. It's called
Sparky.
Sparky Surviving Sex Magic. Sparky Surviving Sex Magic. Thank you very much, Doctor, for joining us. And if there's anything we can do to help you, please let us know.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we're have our next guest, Mary. How are you? Thank you very much, Doctor. We'll talk to you soon. And we have Mary Browning. Hello, Mary. How are you? Let's ask you to unmute, please. I can't hear you.
There we go. Is that better?
Yes, we can hear you. I can tell you're on your phone. God bless you. Welcome for joining. Now, Mary, we have a lot to talk about, and thank you so much for joining. You represent the justicefoundation.org. Let's take a look at that. And it's a very interesting organization. It's multidisciplined. It does many different things. So let's take a look at the website, The Justice Foundation. Here it is. There are 3 basic project ministries, and I understand you're involved in them all. We're going to talk specifically about something today about the abortion bill, but I wanted to talk about, you're a lawyer, correct, Mary?
That is correct, Gary. Yes.
Much respect. You help in Operation Outcry, which is a ministry to end the painful process that people go through having an abortion. People don't talk about it. People think, I have an abortion. There's a bunch of cells in my body. I'm done with it. But you have found that that's not true. There's a lot of guilt and other issues that people actually experience, and you help them. Is that correct with Operation Outcry?
That is correct, Gary. We help them by providing an avenue for them to bring purpose from the pain that they've experienced through that abortion.
There is pain because, let's be honest, you're killing a life. You're ending a life, and you're part. If you have an abortion, you're part of that. You also help against the Center Against Forced Abortions, and it's really a shame, especially it happens in schools where, oh, we won't tell your parents you're pregnant. We'll get you to a Planned Parenthood, and whether you want to or not, we know you want to, and they kind of force people. And you have an organization to try to stop this forcing of people to get an abortion when they don't want to. Is that true?
That is correct, Gary. That's the Center Against Forced Abortion. And through that, we provide different information to people, to teachers, to counselors, to the police department, to an abortionist. Just about, you cannot force a person to get an abortion against their will. It's basically illegal in every state. It's a form of assault. It could be even worse than that, because the person that is the parent, the mother there, if she doesn't agree to that abortion, it shouldn't be performed on her.
And people are, quote unquote, think they're doing a good job, but really it's the money, because there's a lot of money that people get for abortions, tens of thousands of dollars for each case. I don't remember how much it is, but I know it's a lot of money. And when that money is available, people will coerce other people, so that can happen. That's terrible. Now, also life in the Constitution. I love that because, listen, we the people are living and we want to live. And it's we the people. It includes all people. And a baby in the womb is a person. You know, if you decide that I don't want that baby, you have an abortion. If you're 5 years old and you're saying, listen, I lost my job to my son or my daughter, sorry, we're going to have to murder you now. That's basically, this is a very similar thing. So tell me about life in the Constitution and let's talk about the abortion pill.
Okay, well, we'll start with life in the Constitution, Gary, and that really, one of the things that we know for about 49 years in our country, under Roe v. Wade, our Supreme Court had said that the right to abortion was in the Constitution. And then in June of 22, the Supreme Court took a closer look and said, you know what, abortion is not in our Constitution. We made a mistake when we said that 49 years ago. So now we've looked closer at the Constitution, and both in the 5th and the 14th Amendment, there are protections for life. So it's sort of the opposite of abortion being in the Constitution. Life is in the Constitution, and we believe and advocate that life should be protected, even including life in the womb. And when we begin to think about what's happening with these abortion pills, some people are not even fully aware that they're actually killing a separate human being. Part of that is because some of the propaganda has been intentional to keep people from recognizing what they're doing. And I saw that firsthand in January in a trial where for a week, the Planned Parenthood experts that had sued the state of Missouri, they testified over and over, but never mentioned the fact that this is a child or a baby. And so I found that interesting in light of the fact that the many people we advocate for, the thousands of women we advocate for that have had abortions, and particularly those that have had the pill abortion, because they're not anticipating what they end up having to deal with. We talk about the pill abortion, it's actually two pills. The first one starves the baby. The second one causes the baby, in theory, to be extracted from the body. And if it's effective, then all the other contexts of the pregnancy would also be extracted from the body. But we have learned that 10.93%, so over 10%.
Let's call it 11%. So you've got more than a 1 in 10 chance by taking these two pills. And the two pills reminds me of the booster. You get the COVID, and then you got to get the booster. So it sounds like the same type of thing. You get two pills. You have an 11% chance you're going to end up in the OR, in the operating room. Is that true?
Yes, or have some type of severe adverse event. Sometimes that's you need a blood transfusion. You don't stop bleeding. Sometimes that's you're full of infection. Sometimes there were baby parts left inside and you have to have a surgery to have those removed. So there's a variety of severe adverse events that happen to the women that have these pills, at least over 10% of the time, as you said, Gary. Yes.
And people don't know. Nobody's advertising that.
No.
It's safe and effective. We've heard that so many times. Anyway, by the way, anytime a doctor tells you something, it's safe and effective, run.
That's right. That's right. Well,
go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
There's a recent case out of Florida where the judge made a ruling just yesterday.
Hey, I'm in Florida.
You're in Florida. Okay, so you may know about this. Your attorney general sued Planned Parenthood for deceptive trade practices because Planned Parenthood claims that this pill is safer than Viagra or Tylenol or penicillin. And so they sued and said that's deceptive because it's just not true. And then Planned Parenthood said, let's dismiss that. There's no truth to that. But the judge said, you know what? We're going to take a closer look. We're going to let them present evidence on this. So that case is still alive in Florida.
And where was that in?
I would have to go back and look. I didn't pay much attention to where it was actually filed. It was filed by your attorney general in the state of Florida. So might be in the capital there.
So tell me more about this pill.
Well, one of the things that we see happening, we work with, of course, many women that have abortion in the past, and some of them have had the pill abortion. And particularly for the pill, the trauma is immediate if they're not prepared that they're actually going to pass their baby. So when they see the baby, they realize what they've done. So the trauma is real. So this whole idea of not talking about this being a baby, it's tissue, it's pregnancy, it could be a clump of cells, anything, it's not a baby yet, is one of the things that our women say they're being told. It's not a baby yet. So when they see the baby, now that baby is deceased, it's expelled in their toilet or on the bathroom floor, and now they have to figure out what to do with it. And so that's the other piece of this, that we have millions in our country that are suffering through this, and a lot of them suffering in silence. So we like to let them know they can bring purpose from the pain by signing a declaration at operationoutcry.org. And we can take that information and include it in briefs that we are filing around the country, and particularly in the U.S. Supreme Court, to let judges know this is not as simple as some would have you believe.
For more information, please go to thejusticefoundation.org, their website. So you can see what they're about, and you can see that. Go back to the homepage and see, they have basically 3 different projects, which is Operation Outcry, and then fighting against forced abortion, and life is in the Constitution. Is that correct?
That is correct. There's a declaration there, and the right under the right is to life is in the Constitution. If you want to say, you know what, I've looked at this now, and I agree, there is the right to life in our Constitution. You can sign a declaration there.
Keep on talking.
Okay, so we have 2 opportunities to lend your voice in this cause. One, if you are a person that has abortion harm, you can go to Operation Outcry, and there you'll have an opportunity to sign a declaration about how abortion has hurt you. And if you have or have not got abortion in your past, but you believe that life, the right to life, is protected by our Constitution, you can sign a declaration on that page as well. If you know someone that's being forced or into an abortion, you can contact the Center Against Forced Abortion. The phone number is on the website, and we can connect you with help and resources to try to see if we can lend help so that they are not forced to abort their baby.
Well, would you say that it's becoming more difficult? I've heard that the teen abortions is going down. Is that true, Mary?
I would find that hard to believe, and particularly, Gary, because of the mail order abortion. The FDA removed a couple of protections that makes it very easy to just go online, get the drug, have it delivered to your door, whether you're in a state that bans it or not, and whether you're even a woman or man, or so the idea that it's a woman and it's a woman's choice is really a bit of a farce. Men are going online and giving this pill to their girlfriends or boyfriends surreptitiously. There's no age limit as to who can get the pill. And because the FDA removed the in-person requirement that there be a physical exam to determine gestational age and whether the mother even wants the abortion, anyone can get them, really, Gary, and they can be mailed into any state. So even if you're in a state that has prohibited it, I believe that abortions, both of teens and adults, are increasing significantly.
Wow, that's terrible news.
It is terrible news, but it's why lawsuits like the one Florida has brought and like Louisiana has brought a lawsuit against the FDA. And that lawsuit was challenging the FDA's removal of those simple protections of let's require just one doctor a visit, and let's not let these drugs be sent through the mail. Because if the FDA would just change those 2 pieces of this equation, it could make a big difference for a lot of women and girls in our country.
Well, I don't know what drugs you can get in the mail. That sounds crazy. There's so many things you can't get on. It's just when it comes to things like this, it's just they always seem to find a way around. It's disgusting. Thank you for what you're doing, everybody. Let's please go to the website, which is thejusticefoundation.org, and support them. See what they're doing. Look at the book Roe versus Wade, written by Alan Parker Jr. And thank you, Mary, for what you do. You're a lawyer and you help other people. And thank you so much for joining us. And you can watch us on the YouTube.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary.
This is Indy Pederson, right? Indy, is that you?
Yeah, this is Indy. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Yes, we'll just take it from here, Indy. Thanks for joining us. So listen, you are, I want to talk about sacrificing humanity, which is interesting. Isn't that your book?
Yep, that's my book.
I'm showing it.
And you can't even find it on Amazon because when you pull it up, unless you type my whole first and last name, they won't bring it up, even though it autofills. So I'm being censored in a way.
Well, okay, you can get your book on Tyndale trine.com, TRINE day.com. Okay, sacrifice humanity's UFO is a portent of nuclear war. Wow. Okay, UFOs. They've been in the news lately. Indy, what does the UFOs have to do with nuclear war?
Well, they're showing up at the launch control sites, the LCs. I've interviewed a number of the missileers. That's what they call them, the people who control the launch centers at the launch control sites.
I'm down here in Florida. I can see the from where I live, and I can see the rockets take off. So you're saying that the UFOs are conjugating around launches? Is that true?
No, they're congregating around the nuclear war sites. All the aspects every aspect from the developing the plutonium all the way up to the launch control sites of our ICBMs. And there's been hundreds of incursions. And of those, you can verify these facts online. Of the hundreds of incursions, there's been 10 to 20 that could have potentially caused nuclear war. And I interviewed missileers. I literally interviewed officials at every aspect of the nuclear chain, from Cheyenne Mountain, inside the mountains, where I interviewed a colonel and 2 generals, and then Bangor nuclear submarine base, and then down underground, deep underground in Missouri.
Let's get to the point. How is that getting us into a nuclear war? Because these UFOs are
because the orbs have many times have started, a number of times, 10 to 20 potentially. They started the countdown, and the missileers I talked to, there's 3 of them, and one was telling me the story, and the other 2 nodding their head yes. They had nervous breakdowns because as far as they could tell, we were in a nuclear war.
In other words, you're saying, are you saying that these UFOs hacked into the website to launch a target, to launch a nuclear weapon? Is that what you're saying?
They're not hacking into any website. They're literally taking control of our command and control of our missile system. Yeah, and they've done it a number of times. There's been quite a few people who've looked into this. Probably the best is UFOs and nukes by, I believe his name is Robert Hastings. I've interviewed a lot of officials as well, and so both of us have looked into this. This has been brought up in congressional hearings as well. So they're proving they have complete control of our command and control. They can change our launch codes. They can start a nuclear countdown like launching, and it won't. The countdown, they can't stop it. The people inside, the missileers, can't stop it until the UFO flies away, and then it stops. I mean, think how frightening.
For some reason they haven't stayed there. There hasn't been a launch yet. That's really scary. I got to get on to my next guest, Indy. So I appreciate Indy Pederson, Sacrifice Humanity. You can't find it. It's not easy to find. But if you go to trine.com, Sacrifice Humanity by Indy Pederson. This is scary stuff. I'd like to see a movie about this, Indy. It'd be really interesting. And Stephen, I'm trying to get Stephen back on our show. We had some technical difficulty. Indy, thank you so much for joining us. I'd love to have you back. We've had some difficulty.
I would love to be back.
Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Contact people.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Stephen, hello. How are you? We've had some trouble today, haven't we? Are you there, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm there. What's
okay,
up?
There he is. Sorry for the difficulty. We never had problems before. I've been having so many technical difficulties today. I don't know why. You and I never had problems today. We've had some issues, but we got through them.
Well, very good.
All right. What's on your mind?
Nice beard.
Yes. First time in my life.
First time in your life.
Yesterday, the 1st of June was the 1-year anniversary of my wife's death. She didn't like beards. I worked for corporations. I couldn't have one, but now I'm exploring having one. You're a good friend. We met. We had lunch. I really admire you and everything you're doing. We're talking about Second Amendment rights, which is very important in America. and you there's been some push for somehow to take the Second Amendment rights of veterans away from them. You're pushing to get that done, to get that removed, to get that back. And I want to just show you your website. Here it is. And you represent Gun Owners of America. Let's show you that website. What's on your mind today, Stephen?
Well, we're fighting right now. We're fighting in Virginia. Virginia is a big one that we're fighting in right now, and also in Maryland and Rhode Island. And we now have Harmony Dillon that has filed a lawsuit in Colorado. She is the assistant to the DOJ, and she has filed several lawsuits. She filed one in DC, and she has said that the Supreme Court is going to have to hear a so-called assault weapons ban and a magazine capacity ban. We at Gun Owners of America are fighting all of these lawsuits against modern sporting rifles. During the Heller, Washington, D.C. versus Heller, the Supreme Court decision said that anything in common use for lawful purposes could not be banned in the United States. And they've done things to ban these guns, and we're fighting that right now. Please go to gunowners.org.
Here we are,
Sign
Gun
up.
Owners. Yep.
And we're fighting the one in Illinois also.
Where can you
Right.
sign up on Gun Owners?
Is that gunowners.org? There should be a spot. Go to donate.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. So
Because I
join.
think donate, it will take you to
Only $25 for the whole year. That's a very good price. Gun Owners of America, and help. They help. You know, Gun Owners doesn't get a lot of press compared to the American Rifle Association.
so you can go to annual membership up there. You're in Patriot. So Patriot member, what a Patriot member is you can donate as a Patriot member and do a monthly donation. But if you just fill out the regular annual donation, it's $25 a year, and it's not recurring, and we don't just send you and say, here, donate to us today. We don't just deluge you with a whole lot of stuff like that. And it's considered a donation, tax deductible too. But your membership's considered a donation. And if you sign up and donate, then we don't send you and say, sign up today and you get a free 25 or a free Chinese made knife or something like
Even
that.
we got this. Now I'm going to keep you on. You know I do, but we just got 20 seconds. Gunowners.org. Gunowners.org. Go there, and also barefootdefenders.com. Thebarefootdefender.com. That's Stephen's personal site. And you can pick up his book about what happened with him in 2017 at the church. So we are off the air with WPAT, but we're still on the air at on YouTube, which I'll share the link. And we've had a lot of technical difficulties today, but please explain to me what else you want to talk about, Stephen.
So we're having our annual event in August. It's in Iowa. It's called Goals, and Goals is for Gun Owners Leadership Summit. So go to Goals in Iowa. If you are a member of GOA, you get in free. And we have a lot of good speakers there, and a lot of good things happen. A lot of manufacturers and are going to be there showing off all their stuff. People like Palmetto State Armory, Springfield Armory, Glock is going to be there. All your favorites will be there at Goals.
Well, when are you coming to Florida? Because I want to come see you again when you do.
Actually, going to be in Florida in September.
Okay,
And there is a big church safety response training in Florida in September, and more details to come, but I'm going to be there and I'm going to be speaking. They say we're going to have at least 2,500 already signed up in September.
you know what city that's going to be in yet?
What's that?
You know where in Florida yet? Do you know where?
I can look it up. Um,
Sounds like a big church. That'd be great. Yeah.
well, it's going to be several churches come together for it and stuff. So, yeah.
Yes, well, that's a good thing because, churches have got to be trained to protect themselves. That's what's happening. Yeah, definitely important to do that.
And it's like okay, hang on. I got it here.
Yep, it's going to be somewhere in Florida.
Saratoga.
Saratoga. All right.
Saratoga.
Well, maybe
So,
I'll come see you in September, Stephen.
absolutely. And I'm going to be in August or July, rather, I'm going to be in Colorado Springs.
Oh, wow.
I'm leaving tomorrow for landing in Pittsburgh, going right over the border in Ohio to speak to a church in Ohio on Saturday. Um, doing another one in, oh, let's see, lots of churches. Off the top of my head, it's hard to remember each one of them, but doing another one soon. Um, actually, tomorrow is at Kansas City, Missouri. I'm sorry.
So that's all right, Stephen. God bless you.
And then after that, it's Ohio.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, GunOwners of America, also make sure you go to his personal website, which is Stephen Willeford, which is the Barefoot
The
Defense. It's some of your website isn't really coming up that good there. Maybe you want to talk to your people, but there's a video that gives his background. You can talk. It's always a pleasure, Stephen. Sorry for the technical difficulties. God bless you. I'd love to talk to you more. And
God bless you too.
Thank you so much. We have our next guest joining us, which is Stephen Willeford, and he's a hero who's been who helped somebody that was killing others. So, Stephen, are you there? Stephen? Stephen, well, let me talk about Stephen Willeford. We're having some technical difficulties, but I want to talk about Stephen. Here's his website, thebarefootdefender.org, thebarefootdefender.org. And it talks about his story. There was someone killing people in the church. He killed 26 people, but Stephen came out with his AK, with his rifle, and shot him and stopped the killing. He was a hero because of that. He trying to get there with. He's also part of GunOwners.org. Stephen was still asking to start the video. And Stephen, are you there? Please start. Yeah, I didn't know what that was. Please join. Technical difficulty now. Apologize for that. Stephen Willeford, GunOwners.org. Anyway, guy was shooting up people in the church, killing 26, wounded another 20. I believe only 3 people walked out of the church uninjured or unalive. However, the perpetrator was pointing a rifle at one of Stephen's friends, and Stephen yelled at him, and out of the clear blue sky, he was in a gunfight on a Sunday afternoon. The perpetrator shot 10 shots directly at Stephen. They hit the car in front of him. They went over his head and hit the house behind him. However, thank God, nothing hit Stephen. Stephen, who is a gun expert, fired off 6 rounds. Everyone hit the target. Unfortunately, 3 of those hit his body armor. One of them was just a scratch, but 2 of them, quote unquote, hit home, for lack of a better term. And that person was poorly injured. He ran into his car to try to get away, but the bullet wound probably caused some great injury to him. And he ended up crashing into a sign, going off of the road. So I'm going to have my next guest joining right now. We're having some technical difficulties today. So you can join with the video. That would be great. I think we have